So before this trance music puts you guys to sleep, I'm going to get down to the main purpose of this video. And that's to introduce a series of videos that examines the question of whether the Sydney Trains rail network is more of a commuter rail network or a rapid transit network. Now, the basic distinction between commuter rail and rapid transit is that commuter rail is designed to get passengers coming from far-flung areas into a small confined portion of the city in the morning and out of this small confined portion of the city in the evening and back to their homes in the far-flung hinterlands. While rapid transit, also known as metro or subway, is designed to transport passengers around a densely developed and populated portion of the city or region throughout most hours of the day. Now, stemming from these differing purposes, you'll see differing patterns in service frequency, ridership, and map structure. In fact, the differences in service frequencies and ridership can often be explained by a close examination of the system's map. So the first set of videos in this series is going to look at the service frequencies of the Sydney Trains network. The second video or set of videos is going to look at the patterns of ridership. The third video or set of videos is going to take a close look at the system's map. And all of these videos are going to utilize comparison to North American rapid transit networks as well as North American commuter rail networks. The reason we're going to make comparisons with North American transit networks is because Australian metropolitan areas experience growth in their transportation infrastructure, both road and rail, around the same time that North American metropolitan areas did. A lot of the development in both North America and Australia took place after World War II, and this is in contrast to most European metropolitan areas who had substantial infrastructure in place prior to World War II. Before I conclude this video, I have to make an important distinction between suburbs in Australia and suburbs in North America. In North America, a metropolitan area is comprised of a central city and its surrounding suburbs. So when someone refers to San Francisco, for example, they're referring to the 49 square miles that constitute the city limits of San Francisco. And when someone says they're from a suburb of San Francisco, they mean that they're from a small town situated close to San Francisco. In Australia, a metropolitan area is comprised of hundreds of suburbs, and the core of the metropolitan area is itself considered a suburb. So the Sydney Central Business District is in fact considered a suburb. What's referred to as a city in Australia is actually comprised of a collection of suburbs. To illustrate this point, consider the map shown here. This is taken from Google Maps. The 2-mile trek from the Wynard railway station here, which is point A, to the Redfern railway station, which is point B, actually crosses through 4 suburbs. You start out the Sydney Central Business District, which is itself a suburb. You pass through Haymarket. You pass through the suburb of Ultimo, finally ending up in the suburb of Redfern. So roughly every half mile on average you cross into another suburb. So essentially what we consider a neighborhood in North America, the Australians consider a suburb. I'm mentioning all of this because the Australian government officially categorizes the Sydney Trains rail network as a suburban rail network. But remember, what's a suburb in Australia is essentially a neighborhood in North America. So the Australian government calling the Sydney Trains rail network a suburban rail network is in effect calling it a train network serving the neighborhoods of Sydney. This is important to note because in North American parlance, sometimes the terms suburban rail and commuter rail are used interchangeably. When the Australian government uses the term suburban rail, it's not necessarily referring to commuter rail.